We got word of homeless encampments all over town. I'm here with Andy Chomko. We decided to go out and see what these people were talking about and maybe to show people what it is.
How does it get to that point?
That's a pile of f***ing junk. Gotta help them somehow. But letting them alone, living by a river, that's not how you help people. I'm not gonna be able to sleep over this shit. How do you fix it?
Did you ever see something like this?
In third world country.
This is a shame. It's a shame. They shouldn't have these people living on the side of the trail. These people should have homes or shelters to go to. Maybe they're alcoholics or something. They, have problems. They don't want to live that way, but they shouldn't live on a tent on the side of the trail. And they move to another spot. They move their camp. When they leave all that garbage there and everything, which is a fire hazard, we need more security to take care of this issue. Cops patrolling, whatever it takes, because it's a shame what they're doing to our environment.
And we'll go up trail and I'll show you some points. A lot of times they're in spots that are in the flood zone and they get washed out. Many people do not appreciate the power of water and how quickly it can rise in a major storm event. I first had noticed them down here last spring, so just shy of a year, I would say, or so. And towards the end of the summer, they seem to have moved on. Fishing here in Lackawanna County in the waterways of the Lackawanna River watershed is a major economic engine for the region. And this is something that needs to be protected. And that ties into all these plastic products and such that are found strewn along the waterways. This is a spot that people will take a more short-term stay at. And often those individuals are newly introduced to the situation of not having residence anywhere, and so they will bring items down here. I have to clear it out quite often, and you'll see that they often have items that just are their possessions and really have no place with them trying to exist under these conditions, and they are often left behind. So here, this is a site that there was some debris, say a little over a year ago, and this past year, you can see how much more has been left down here. And this is just above the waterways. Winds come down, start blowing some of these plastic items, especially. You have a gallon jug there for drinks and such. They will get blown or washed by the storm waters coming down into the waterways. They chose a site such as this because it's sheltered with the rail bridge overhead, and then also it's conveniently located, but not as open as some of the other sites. So let's get around and take a look. We do want to protect folks' rights, but we do need to address everyone's responsibilities as a member of society. This is the resulting mess. Much of this could have been avoided and kept in containers and such again, through whatever circumstances, this is what we have to contend with. Certain chemicals such as PFAS, which are the forever chemicals they're called, polyfluoroalkyl substances. So when you have something such as this tarping or such right below us here, as the water's washing over it, it's in the sun, it will start to break down. And that is far more concerning than just, say, one of these drink bottles getting washed into the waterway, because that's harder to contain and will constantly be breaking down, being exposed to the elements, the forces of water and such. And that is one of those less tangible. You don't see it, it's there, and it's an issue.
They just fell over. I just watched a man fall, sat down, fall. Now it seems like they do that, like Kensington shuffle, and then they wake up. I've been watching it for about 20 minutes now. Any of that, like, could you zoom in on that?
I can't see him.
You couldn't see him.
I can't see him with the camera. But if we walk down, we might be able to.
We gotta find a way to stop the drugs.
This is under Lackawanna Avenue Bridge. And as you can see, we've got the rail corridor, river, the trail system, and then this is up under the abutment next to the Central New Jersey Depot building. October of 22, DPW, City of Scranton, came in and cleared out underneath here. And 2 30-yard rollaways of trash were filled during that. Probably in the area of 8 tons of trash removed that time. The wash lines of all that vegetative debris are up on this terrace section above the water course there, and so any camps here would be affected. They'd be washed out or at least flooded out, where much of their bedding, clothing, etc. would get wet and then would no longer be usable. Sites such as this might seem ideal for someone to set up their camp. During the season, what looks like sparse, scraggly knotweed here will become a wall that you would not even see down to the waterway here. See all the items that are falling down from the camps up there. Some of it blown by wind, some of it, yeah, you never know. Plastic grocery bag that are far too prevalent, not just from the camps, but from just general public use. They get into the waterways, they break down very quickly, become fragile, and just start to fall apart. So one bag will start to have many small microplastics contributions into the waterways. Take out food containers, single-use plastics. This is personal trash that accumulates, which to have this removed as it's produced prevents a small issue from becoming a larger and harder to manage issue. And so that's just one of the approaches that we can take, is to address the issue of this accumulative trash over time. Another big issue is over here, the styrofoam cups. Anyone's familiar with the styrofoam, you'll see it looks like little beads that are all joined together. When these products break down, these individual beads, pieces of the polystyrene are incredibly similar to, say, fish eggs that is consumed by wildlife. And so there you have another vehicle for all these microplastics to be directly introduced into the wildlife.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. This is visible from the roadways, from the trail. You can see this is a highly visible spot. Normal winter, everything would be frozen in. We'd have some snowpack on top. That makes getting in and doing the cleanups too difficult. Also, nothing dries out. It becomes iced. It's heavy. It's hard to manage. None of the vegetative growth has come in yet. As you can see, all the Japanese knotweed here. Once that comes back in with season, it's a veritable wall. And it does somewhat obscure the view of these sites here, but they're still there, and they're still an environmental issue. They're always an aesthetic issue. Our plan of operations here is to get out at this time of year before the growth comes in, when the items are manageable. As well, with these camps, at this time of year, many of them are no longer occupied, so we do not have that additional issue of having to concern the project with the well-being and consideration of the individuals who have been camped here.
The suggestion now, correct me if I'm wrong, is to get dumpsters all around the city and let these people have access to it. That's the suggested course.
That is a consideration that
That's the only
can
thing
be
that
looked
I've
at.
heard that anyone has worked towards so far.
So I actually had an arrangement where some of the individuals I had known camping underneath Lackawanna Avenue up there by the abutment where we just were, they would back up their trash, bring it down, and our contract for the trail system with the county, they would pick up the trash when the bags were there. And it did help to improve all this small stuff. Again, you leave behind a tarp, sleeping bag, that's manageable. When you have all this trash, all these food containers and such, plastic utensils, they come spilling down these slopes. It's much harder to manage.